When I first got into cooking a lot of barbecue or anything at home, what I started to really get excited about was making my own seasoning and spice blends. Now that has turned into a whole thing. I mean, I have a line of my own seasoning blends, but something that I come back to over and over again that's become a staple in our household is this homemade version of a taco seasoning. Yes, you can buy a packet from the grocery store, but when you really want control over all of the flavors that are happening, you want that freshness, you want to pick every little thing that goes in there and tweak things to your favorite flavors, that's where homemade seasoning blends come in, and this taco seasoning is a great one to have on hand. It's a good recipe to have in your back pocket, and I like to keep a jar in the pantry all the time. So let's do it.
We start with 2 teaspoons of sea salt, a teaspoon of cumin, a tablespoon of chili powder, and 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, a teaspoon each of garlic powder, onion powder, and then a teaspoon of Mexican oregano. And I like to break this up with my hands to really release the oils in there. So delicious. Half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and a teaspoon of black pepper. Now you can adjust the cayenne pepper if you want a little bit more heat in your taco seasoning. From there, it goes into your favorite lidded jar, and it is ready to rock and roll with your favorite recipe.
Now that you have a beautiful jar of homemade taco seasoning, what do you do with it? You can use it to season fish, ground beef, steak, pork chops, anything you want to put on the grill that you kind of get that nice Mexican flavor profile to with the chilies and that Mexican oregano. It's so delicious. But if you want something a little bit more outside of the box, something we've been really into lately is kind of like this dip situation, chips, veggies, you name it, but you know cottage cheese is everywhere. But did you know you can make cottage cheese into a dip? So we're gonna blend about a cup of cottage cheese with 1 to 2 tablespoons of your taco seasoning. Start with 1, and then you can add more flavor as you taste it and feel like if it needs more, go ahead and add a little bit more. And it'll make a really creamy, zippy dip that's also kind of high in protein, so you can feel good about eating it with chips or better about probably eating it with vegetables, yeah? Now, a tablespoon per this cup of cottage cheese was perfect for the dip. I also think a tablespoon per pound of meat is typically about how much of this taco seasoning I use. This doesn't make a huge batch, the recipe that's on my website, but I have a little hack. If you hit the print recipe button next to the recipe card on my website, you can actually adjust the servings and it'll automatically calculate how much of each ingredient you'll need. So if you want to double it, triple it, quadruple it, so you have a big batch ready to go, it's super simple within the recipe card itself. Now you can find this recipe and the recipe card so you can adjust everything on my website at heygrillhey.com. Man, I love these simple pantry staples that you can come back to over and over again that are good for so many things. I hope you love this recipe. Let me know if you give it a try. We'll see you next time. That's good. Dang.